Good morning. I want to share a little snippet from the Illustrated History of Methodism. This was published in 1900. Chapter 22, the Methodist Episcopal Church South. A little more than 16 years after the division of the Methodist Episcopal Church, the southern states seceded from the federal union. That secession and the war were direct results of the separation of the churches north and south into distinct ecclesiastical bodies, no one would perhaps be ready to claim. But that the division had much to do with the withdrawal of the southern states from the Union, there cannot be the slightest doubt. The Methodist Episcopal Church was nearer the hearts and lives of the American people than any other Christian organization. The Methodist Church, according to President Lincoln's own statement, sent more soldiers to the field, more nurses to the hospitals, and more prayers to heaven than any other. This was as true of the South as it was of the North. Referring to the Church in America, the writer of the article in the Encyclopedia Britannica on Methodism declares that it is more properly national in its character as an American church than any other church in the States. Had the representatives of the two bodies found it possible in 1844 and subsequently to live harmoniously in the same ecclesiastical union, the war would at least have been delayed and perhaps indefinitely postponed. This, however, is the domain of conjecture. In the Methodist Episcopal Church South, there was no general conference held during the Civil War. The next to be summoned after the one held in Nashville in 1858 met at New Orleans in April 1866. During the session, the New York East Conference sent a telegraphic dispatch which was received with much pleasure. It read as follows: Whereas the General Conference of the Methodist Episcopal Church South is now in session in the city of New Orleans, therefore resolved that we, the New York East Conference and the Methodist Episcopal Church, hereby present to that venerable representative body our Christian salutations and cordially invite them together with us to make next Sabbath, April 8th, 1866, a day of special prayer, both in private and the public congregations, for the peace and unity of our common country, and for the full restoration of Christian sympathy and love between the churches, especially between the different branches of Methodism in the nation. That the Secretary be instructed to transmit by telegraph a copy of this resolution to the Secretary of the General Conference of the Methodist Episcopal Church South at New Orleans. The General Conference, by a standing vote, responded to these Christian salutations and united by cordial agreement with the New York East Conference in setting apart Sunday, April 8th, as a day for special and solemn prayer in private and in the public congregations for the peace and unity of our common country. Friends, this April 8th, I just want to encourage us to be in prayer, public and private prayer, for the peace and unity of our common country and all of God's world, and for the full restoration of Christian sympathy and love between the churches, not just the Methodist churches and branches of Methodism, but for all of God's wide and diverse family.